Hello, my name is Lilah Gutt, and welcome to my presentation. Today we will be talking about the benefits of extreme sports. And I would like to start off with one of my most favorite videos.
You don't have access to this video. I don't have access to view this video, Lilah.
Okay.
Can you describe for us what's in the video?
I don't know. Okay, so this video is the first ever mountain bike descent down Corbett's Couloir.
Nice.
And in this, it's descended by Casey Brown and Cam McCall. So this is like a very vital part of my presentation.
Should we pull it up?
Yeah.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it is. That would be very great. Thank you.
All right, what should I search for?
The first ever mountain bike down Corbett's Couloir. Or Corbett's Couloir mountain bike.
That one. This one?
Yeah, that one will work. Okay, so as you watch this video, I want you to keep one thing in mind. How this makes you feel. It makes me feel, I feel this one feeling, a love and obsession. Call it what you will. This simple dance of give and take with gravity. That feeling as a little kid where the only thing that exists is that very moment. No future, no past. The only thing that exists is the very moment. It's funny, riding still gives me the same feeling as when I was 8. But it's so much more now. It's my heartbeat. It gives me perspective and it grounds me. And allows me to fly all at once. I remember the first time I had this feeling. I was a little girl sitting in my dad's lap, about to go down the sled hill. My brother was behind us, pushing us off to get more speed. I remember soaring down the sled hill and going off of the small jump my brother built for us. I remember this feeling of exhilaration that I never wanted to lose. So there are two kinds of people in this world. There are the kind of people that watch this kind of video and feel motivation and exhilaration to try to pursue these. The other kind of person sees this video and doesn't understand how anybody would ever want to participate in such sports. All right, can you go back to the presentation? Thank you. With my passion in mind, I came up with a research question. And this research question is, what are the mental factors that enable people to take risks in extreme sports, and what enables people, and how these factors are beneficial? So we're going to go over a few things to answer this question. We are going to go over the Big 5 Observatory scale, MAO, and my hypothesis. So let's start off with the Big 5 Observatory scale. The Big 5 Observatory scale is a contemporary scale used to describe qualities or traits in human character. This originated from Goldberg's theory, which is used to break apart 5 personality traits into 5 different dimensions. These dimensions are extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and conscientiousness. Sorry if I butcher these words. And lastly, openness. So let's break these down. Extroversion is when somebody is talkative, seeks thrill, has the ability to enforce one's will, and be front man to influence others. Agreeableness is the ability to understand and the need to help others, and can engage in effective cooperation, acceptance, trust, and openness. Neuroticism is the ability to control one's emotions and stay calm. And conscientiousness is the ability to be reliable, accurate, have orderliness, persistence, toughness, and really good work habits. Lastly, openness is creativity and the ability to have artistic ability. Through my research, I found a study that studied personality traits in high-risk sports athletes. This study examined specific qualities and compared which personality traits correlated with 3 different variables. Those variables were high-risk athletes, non-risk athletes, and non-athletes. Within this study, they found that 4 out of 5 of these personality traits, high-risk athletes scored highly in. This is very important because high-risk athletes are misconceived as adrenaline junkies with no consideration into the ending results of their actions. When in reality, extreme sports athletes have to be very outgoing, communicate well with others in groups. They have to learn everything about the sport. They have to learn how their body works, how their equipment works, and how the weather and their environment is working with them or against them. This is very important overall because of the misconception of high-risk sports athletes. And when in reality, these athletes have to be very conscious in a lot of different personality traits. So let's move on to the why aspect. So we're going to go over why extreme sports athletes are enabled to participate in these sports. And this has to do with MAO, monoamine oxidase. So monoamine oxidase monoamine oxidase functions as a regulator, keeping neurotransmitters in balance. So MA, monoamine, refers to 3 different neurotransmitters. These transmitters are dopamine, noradrenaline, and serotonin. These neurotransmitters are involved in mandating a wide range of psychological and homeostatic functions. So breaking these down, dopamine is important in the regulation of movement, cognitive processing, such as attention and motivational behavior. It is also the primary neurotransmitter to reward pathways. Noradrenaline is involved in mandating cardiovascular effects, such as arousal, concentration, attention, learning, and memory. And lastly, serotonin. Serotonin is involved in psychological processes, including smooth muscle functions, blood pressure, and in the central nervous system helps in complex behaviors such as mood, appetite, sleep, perception, and pain control. So the O in MAO is oxidase, which is an enzyme that breaks down monoamine activity. In one of my studies, I found that extreme sports athletes are prone to have 1/3 less monoamine oxidase than the average person. Having less monoamine oxidase is linked to having antisocial behaviors, depression, and bad risky behavior habits. But when these athletes are hurling their bodies into voids and abysses of white powder, hard concrete, and dirt trails, and once these neurotransmitters are released, they have longer-lasting excitatory charges, prolonging and heightening their effects. So basically what this means is when they're hurling themselves off these cliffs, the MAO makes the neurotransmitters rush in for a longer period of time because they are not broken down, so that they get the longer and heightened effects of these different neurotransmitters. And you like this, or these extreme sports participants like this, because scientifically speaking, the only two things you like in life are dopamine and serotonin. So that's why they like it. So since we've gone over the why aspect, I would like to go over something else, which is the fact that 350 million people in this world have signs of depression. Through my research, I found a study on Brandon Stagdale. Brandon Stagdale grew up in a household afflicted with poverty, addiction, and mental illness. One time he was in a 7-Eleven and he pulled out a gun, and he found that this gave him a rush. This escalated a lot of conflictions until one day he pulled out his gun and he fired it twice. This led him to being arrested and thrown in jail for 3 years. Once he got out of prison, he went to college and started studying if risky behavior could be a constructive alternative amongst adolescents, because physical activity decreases mental health symptoms. And he did this through skydiving and found a lot of positive results through his patients. In another study about surfing as a coping device for PTSD, they were trying to find if clients using sports-oriented therapy would report reduced PTSD and depressive symptoms. Through using these methods within surfing and targeting veterans, they found that participants showed significant signs of improvement within the participants who stayed in the program for the full 5 weeks. So through this presentation, we found out why people participate in extreme sports through MAO, and we found a lot of positive evidence that correlate with the benefits of extreme sports. And through this, I came up with my own hypothesis. My hypothesis is that extreme sports can be used as an alternative to antidepressants. My hypothesis formed because the neurotransmitters dopamine and serotonin are the same neurotransmitters that are tampered with within antidepressants. I believe that these sports could be potential alternatives and could reduce the use of pharmaceuticals in this world, which I believe is a better alternative, since running from saber-toothed tigers is the same thing, essentially the same thing as extreme sports, and that has been developed in our brain for a lot longer. So I do believe that it's very important for us to start finding more natural remedies to then dosing everybody with pharmaceuticals. And although there's not a lot of scientific evidence that has been done to prove that my hypothesis is true, I've come across enough evidence for myself to believe this true. And I think that it is very important for our society and scientists to stop generalizing extreme sports athletes as adrenaline junkies searching for novel experiences. And rather, they should start finding the things that these sports can benefit, that we can benefit from these sports, such as depression, PTSD, and risky behavior. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.